Hello, I'm Quinn Horniker. Today I'm going to be talking about the quality of character, courage. Today I'll go over the definition and give some examples of courage, not only biblical ones, but also athletic ones. And then I'll finally apply that courage to coaching and leadership. So what is courage? Dictionary tells us that courage is the ability to be brave, the ability to face danger, difficulty, or even uncertainty. Or even be able to do this and overcome fear. I think most commonly we associate courage with action. What brave actions does a person do that shows how they overcame some uncertainty? But I think oftentimes what's overlooked with courage is the mental and moral strength that it takes to persevere. So having that kind of mental and moral fiber within a person to actually act on whatever the event might be, and to show their courage. And so oftentimes this may be overlooked, but the mental and moral strength that it takes, I think, is almost required before being courage. And so to me, the mental and moral side is incredibly important when talking about courage. And I love the image over here to the right where it talks about the origin of the word courage and how its Latin roots, C-O-R, mean heart. And I think that kind of speaks to courage coming from the heart. For me, courage means confronting both internal and external fears that are present and performing in spite of those internal and external fears. Internal and external fears could be a number of things. Usually the internal ones will be ones that we put on ourselves. So what are the internal fears that we feel before maybe a competition or before a big presentation or before something super important? What are those expectations that you're placing on yourself? And then the external ones are ones that are placed on us by external forces. So that could be coaches or parents or society, any external force. And the same thing, what are the expectations that those external forces are putting on you? Is there a fear of failure, not only internally, but maybe externally from teammates or from coaches? And then finally, I know for me personally, my biggest fear is just the fear of being in the same place from the day before. And that not only means personally and athletically, but also professionally. Basically not having that growth mindset, wanting to get better each day. We also see courage in the Bible quite frequently. We see it in Psalm chapter 27 as well as chapter 16. The Lord says, be of good courage, as he shall strengthen thine heart. And basically saying that he will provide that inner strength that is required to show the courage. And then we also see courage in athletics. I know I see courage in athletics almost daily. I really love this documentary series that was done by CBS Sports. It's actually called Courage in Sports. They've been producing it for about 25 years now. And every year it highlights certain athletes that have somehow shown a courageous act, either in their specific sport or maybe just by overcoming some type of uncertainty or difficulty. One of my favorite stories, actually I'll talk about here later, is the story of Billy Hurley. I do want to watch this quick YouTube video that basically was just a trailer for this so we can kind of get an idea of all the variety of sports that are actually highlighted in this Courage in Sports.
When the story is told, it'll be a story about bravery.
That's what hit me. That the bomb was right out front and heart dropped.
When I first heard about it, I was like, geez, how much can one person take?
2 soldiers died that night. It's a real tough one for everybody,
I knelt down and he said, Mom, I can't move my legs.
Doctors didn't think I could even walk.
I actually hate the word disabled. If you break it down, it means you're not able to do something.
I think fate over Josh. You're catching and breaking, but Josh, you beat the system.
spirit. You can't stop us from doing what we want to do.
Because we don't have control over things that happen. What we can control is the comeback.
Wants to show the world that he's gonna do this and he's gonna get up and he's gonna skate.
There's no precedent. He's pioneering a whole new mentality.
Whatever happens tonight, we're family.
He's trying to reach out and say, hey, this is what's wrong with the game.
Every day he amazes me with what he can do.
His back is so much better than mine.
It just took courage to get on the court.
That smile told me that his life is good.
It doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. You know, I try to live by that.
I'm not letting something that happened define who I am. To cross the finish line, I'm sure it will feel like winning.
Life doesn't end when something goes wrong.
I'm living proof that just don't ever give up. I've hit rock bottom here. I've climbed back up and now I'm on a pinnacle.
So we can kind of see some of the really unique stories that are involved in that documentary there. Certainly one I enjoy. My personal favorite is the one with Billy Hurley, who is a professional golfer. And the story that was highlighted with Billy Hurley was actually the PGA golf tournament that he won exactly 1 year to the day after his father committed suicide. And the article, I won't show you, but the article below kind of highlights not only the courage it took to play in that tournament and perform at that level, but also just the courage it took to continue to play professionally up to the year after his father died and after that as well. Certainly a great example of courage in athletics. Billy Hurley also has a foundation in which he helps families who have served provide money for education. And I really think this is just another display of courage as he was willing to postpone his professional career to actually serve his country in the Navy for 5 years. And then also the wherewithal to create a foundation to help those who are still serving. Certainly a display of courage. And then the application to coaching. So how do we as coaches apply courage to kind of our coaching models? And I think it can be correctly applied in 3 ways, but that takes courage, and it takes courage to correctly coach so that you are great, not just good. And I think the 3 ways that it really is important is in your coaching philosophy, your persistence to coaching and to holding true to that philosophy, and then finally the shared expectations that the coach and the coaching staff has with the athletes in the program. First, philosophy, which comes from, this quote comes from our textbook on teaching character through sport, from Mr. Brown. Good coaches have strong beliefs. Great coaches are believed. And I think that's important to know in the philosophy. Are you actually believed? Is your philosophy believed by everyone in the program? And so a great coaching philosophy should be able to be relied upon no matter the situation, especially when situations require courage. And to me, I know that learning process is much greater than the outcome. And so how are we continuing to help these athletes learn and be courageous and not be worried about the outcome, but more be worried about that growth mindset? I think is super important. I think that takes courage to put the learning process over the outcome. The second way that I see the application to coaching with courage is through persistence. Again, from that same text, there's only one guarantee in an athletic season. It will not be perfect. And I know from personal experiences of coaching for 11 years, I've never once had a perfect season. That being said, the only expectation I count on is that there will be obstacles. And I think having the courage to confront those obstacles and persist through them certainly takes courage. I love the quote by Michael Jordan, which talks about all of the different failures that he's had. And because he can actually recognize those failures, he's actually successful because of that. And then finally, the shared expectations. So good coaches talk about their expectations, whereas great coaches have athletes that meet their expectations. So highlighting the importance of not only a collaborative team process, but also being very consistent and disciplined with that process, so that coaches are being held accountable and so are athletes. I think that is super important, that accountability. And that accountability happens through reflection, just like the case study over here with Michael Jordan. He was only successful because of reflecting on all the times that he failed. And so I think having self-reflection for coaches and then player reflection through coaches, that takes a lot of courage to be willing to address the failures so that you can be successful. So in conclusion, courage is not only the mental and moral strength to persevere through uncertainty and difficulty, but also willing to act once you have that mental and moral strength. And then finally, recognizing the internal and external fears and using courage to still act. Courage is seen as a source of strength with our biblical references. Courage is also seen with all levels of sports, where all individuals can be extraordinary. And then finally, courage can be frequently displayed in coaching and leadership as long as there is a sound philosophy, as long as coaches and players are persistent, and as long as there are shared expectations. So finally, our quality of character, courage, and hopefully you've highlighted how important courage is. Thank you.